Hey there, what's going on? I'm Andy. I'm a self-taught programmer, and in this video, what I wanted to actually talk to you about is software developer burnout. Something that I am very familiar with, as I have pushed myself to the limit many times and experienced this idea of burnout, where you basically have to take time off because you are so overworked, you're so anxious, you're so stressed that there's just no other option but to take time off. You basically put yourself in a position where you're done, you're cooked, as they say. So I wanted to share my story with you just to give you an idea of how the mistakes I made and how you can avoid it. Now, if you're new here and you have no idea who I am, I'm Andy Sterkowitz, and I'm a mentor and coach to aspiring developers. So for people who are trying to teach themselves the skills to get hired for their first job, I help give them strategies and tools to get that first job. So if you're looking for information like that, I highly recommend subscribing below. Make sure to also hit the bell icon to get notifications anytime I put out a new video. So, developer burnout, what are we talking about here? So, I am super familiar with this. I've had pretty bad burnout before from, as you guess, overworking myself, and I really wanted to give you an idea of that. So let's talk about the worst burnout I've ever experienced and some of the mistakes from that. So back in 2017, in early 2017, this is my third year in my career as a software developer, I decided to start a startup. I founded a startup. And it was based around helping immigration attorneys with their case management. And it was brilliant. I had worked as a paralegal before, so I knew I had seen the software systems that they use, and I thought all of them were lacking intensely, right? So I decided, like, hey, I'll build my own product. I had immigration attorneys who I knew who were ready to use this product because they hated everything else on the market. So I was like, this is perfect. I loved it. I loved the idea. The big mistake I made is I said I was gonna do it myself. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna be that guy who develops a company all by himself, the one-man programming team. Like, that's what I was just so hard-headed about that. I thought it would be the coolest thing ever. And so I thought to myself, hey, in 3 months, I was gonna build this MVP level product and roll it out. And I worked super hard for the first 3 months, and I worked really hard. I got a lot of progress done, but unfortunately, 3 months took 6 months. I made a lot of mistakes in the design process. It was the first time I've ever really done this from scratch completely, and I had a lot of starts and stops. But the point is, I was working very hard for those 6 months. And in 6 months, I started to get really close to an MVP level product. However, I was starting to run really thin. I was working on weekends, like both Saturdays and Sundays. I was working like, it was encroaching like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even sometimes 12-hour days on the weekends. Now keep in mind that I was still working a 9-to-5 job. I was working as a software developer at a company, 9 to 5, and I was not working on their time, right, on my side project. So the only time I had available to me was Monday through Friday after work and weekends. And so pretty much all my spare time I was spending on this company because I really saw a path forward. I really saw an opportunity. And so I would pour all of my time and energy into there. But unfortunately, right around that 6-month mark, things started getting dramatically worse. Like, I was getting way more moody because I was pissed off all the time that I wasn't spending time. It was summer in Chicago and I wasn't able to spend time with friends. Things weren't going well with the startup. Like, I was just finding there was a lot of problems. I needed help very badly. I was just really struggling with some of the basic stuff here. And so instead of taking time off, maybe reflecting and strategizing, I just poured more time. I was like, let's just get this thing done, right? Because I thought if I just put more time and energy in, it will just happen even quicker. And instead, what happened is, after a month or two of that, I just burnt out. What I mean by burnout, by the way, is I don't know if you call it depression. What I would call it is I was just like spiritually empty. Like, I got to the point where I didn't see the value of working on the side project. I was like, I don't want anything to do with it. It's causing me pain. It's causing me even more anxiety. And I was like, I have to step away. So I basically had hit a wall. And so this is about 8 months in. I would say 8 or 9 months in. I basically made the decision. I said, look, I'm going to take some time off. I said, let's take a month off. Let's see how things go. Let's see if I can recover and go from there. Well, 1 month turned into 2 months. 2 months turned into 3 months, and all of a sudden I was sitting there going like, I just don't feel like this is the right decision. I felt like I just don't want to go back to this. I have no interest in it. It just wasn't the right thing to do. So I basically abandoned it after about a year of time. And it was super disappointing. Like, there's no one more disappointed that things didn't work out than me. But at the end of the day, I caused the problems. Like, I caused the problems by overworking myself, by making a lot of mistakes that just didn't have to be made, that could have made this a successful venture and not a failure. So what are some of those things? What are the things that I really messed up on? So the biggest one that I messed up on is I have great discipline about working. I love to program. I love to build products and projects, right? But my discipline for that was good. However, my discipline for stepping away and having boundaries was very bad. Very, very bad. In other words, I didn't practice hard cutoff times. So in other words, there should be, I think that in your life, you should have hard cutoff times when you're not allowed to work. Like you just say, like, after this time, no more work, no matter what. Nothing's that important past 7 or 8 p.m. That's family time, that's alone time, that's your time for yourself. What I found myself doing, especially towards the end, was I would like, I can't believe I'm saying this. It's like embarrassing for me at this point because I would never do this now, but I was working from like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. right? Like I was thinking that if I just put in those 5 extra hours on a Thursday night or something like that, that I could just, get the 4 or 5 hours of sleep, work the next day and then nap or something. But that's true. It never worked out. Like it just made me tired. And when you're really tired, by the way, you are not able to control your inhibitions, right? Like you're not able to control your emotions as well. So I found myself getting pissed off more. I was just cranky. I was eating crappy food more because I couldn't control myself as well. And so it just overall was slowly just like chipping away at the foundation, slowly making me more anxious. It slowly was making me less productive as well. So overall, it was just a bad decision. So having those hard cutoffs, knowing when to even step away from the computer when you're feeling frustrated are super important. You have to respect your own boundaries. The second thing I would say as far as mistake is sleep. So obviously what I mentioned there is I didn't have those boundaries, but when I wasn't getting sleep, I really assumed that I could just fuel myself with coffee and willpower, and that was all that was necessary, when that was not the case. So look, I can say it till I'm blue in the face, and I say it a lot in my videos: get your sleep, get your however much sleep you need per night. That's going to be the best way to be a productive person. It's also going to be the best way to be a healthy, happy person who enjoys life. So don't cut back on sleep. Another thing that is really important is to know how to recharge yourself. I think that a lot of us have been brainwashed that recharging ourselves, it involves like going out and drinking with friends and having a night out in the town and getting wasted or something and waking up with a hangover. But if you are smart about things, if you really, really want to do things that recharge you outside of work, you have to pay close attention. So again, like I'll tell you what I did when I was feeling stressed and I was working at my startup. I would call a friend and I'd say, let's go out Saturday night, let's have a few drinks and stay out late and just have a good time, bar hop, whatever, right? Because that's like a very typical thing to do in your 20s, right? So I would do that and I wake up the next morning and guess what? I have a nice hangover. My bank account would be a little bit lower, so that'd be nice and stressful for me. And I wouldn't feel any better. That wasn't a truly regenerative activity. Instead, what would have been better is if I had met up with a friend and had a deep conversation about life, maybe read a good book, gotten some exercise, got out in nature, went for a walk, went for a bike ride. There's so many different things. I mean, hanging out with friends and family, helping a friend who's in need, like those are all things that can make you feel better and help regenerate you. But going out and drinking is honestly not going to be, most of the time, it's not going to be the right decision. So find out what activities actually regenerate you and focus on those. Don't focus on the ones that are like fake or faux regenerative. So that's my story of burnout. Look, burnout sucks. I would really highly recommend doing anything you can to avoid it. Some of you guys are going to go against this advice. You're going to burn out, but I hope you come back to this video then and really watch it and hammer it in that burnout's not worth it. Like losing 3 or 4 weeks of your time or more, or being nasty to friends and family or your girlfriend or your wife or your kids, or even just engaging in unhealthy activities like drinking more or eating unhealthy foods and gaining weight. Those are all things that you just don't want to do. You want to make sure you're doing this for the long haul. So I hope this video is helpful. Other than that, guys, I highly recommend, if you haven't already, to join my Facebook group at andysterkowitz.com/group. The link is also in the description below. But in that group, I try to do Q&A sessions as often as possible. I also, there's a lot of good conversation there. There's not a lot of spam, so I highly recommend joining. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a good one. Peace out.